Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border. And then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on America's soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thank you for tuning in. About to get going here. How y'all doing on this fine Thursday? Appreciate it. Much appreciated, as always. About to get going here, as we do. Welcome. Hey, John, what's up? Nesio, Thomas, Lord Bibby. The mess has started in the chat, but we love it. He calls himself American. How you doing, Reese? How you doing, Frederick, Mr. Pink? Brilliance. What a brilliant name. I've never seen that name. Welcome, everybody. I'm live on Rumble, D-Live, Twitch. And we got a nice show ahead, okay? Got a nice show here as things are going on. Got an actual show for you today, maybe. Welcome one final time. Art's busy right now. He'll be back if and when the Lord leads. Right on. But we're still rolling with Trump. You know it. Great shows today on the network. And you want to be supporting, you know about the shows. Hake Report, Joel Friday, Jesse. I want to get into a couple of things here. Some interesting reporting on Ukraine, and as a little bit of a starting point here on a couple of things I was thinking about, what I'm talking about here. And it kind of came up yesterday. And Ukraine, and you know, these wars are going on. Right on, yes. What's up, Charlie Church? Just the regular guys in my chat too. How you doing? But yeah, some interesting stuff I want to get into here. You can call into the show as well, 888-775-3773. If you want to jump on the air, you want to talk to the Anchor Baby. Mike Benz, I think I want to jump right into this. Let me see here. Still rolling, you know it. What's up? How you doing, Kilo Alpha Tango? Steel. Mike Benz, Executive Director of Foundation for Freedom Online, a bit of an independent journalist here. Former State Department, apparently. He did some interesting reporting back in June of last year on a couple of things here. So he's a former State Department guy, I believe. And Mike Benz, and like I said, he did some interesting reporting back in June, okay, on a concept that was quickly picking up steam in the United Nations. This concept, digital ID linked to your bank account, where your identification, digitized, even biometrics would be linked to you and your bank account, searchable through cameras. Really fancy techie stuff, okay? So Mike Benz was doing some of this reporting. Digital ID linked to your bank account now approaching consensus level at the UN. This means implementation is likely fast approaching. Look for it to be rolled out in conflict zones, low GDP regions, and vassal states first. And, he correctly predicted this. He's talking about biometrics being tied to your bank accounts. And this has been touted for a long time. He accurately predicted this to be rolled out. And and in fact, in Ukraine, it appears the digital ID linked to bank account has already arrived in Ukraine, thanks in part to funding and development from frequent CIA cutout and CIA funding conduits, U.S. aid. So he's a smart guy on this foreign stuff, but okay. They got the tech guys, they got them together, and they got them all together in a conference room, and they presented some funky tech stuff. Look, it's so nice. It's like an Apple commercial. Snazzy. Government, what's that say? Your governments, no officials, no endless lines, no unnecessary forms. Okay. Snazzy, Visa, Google, I know those names. DIA, as you're seeing, DIIA. So this is as you see, if you can read at the top there, it says state in a smartphone. State in a smartphone. And what you're seeing is an event promoting DIA, Ukraine's state in a smartphone, which digitizes medical records, banking, biometric data, and all aspects of life into a singular app. So awesome. This was back in May. And so Mike Benz, this was rolled out as you're following so far. So fancy, so cool. All right, that's enough of that. And so they rolled out DIA. DIA is an app, and like it says there, it's a way to interact with the government. If you saw the little presentation, you'll be able to incorporate a business in 15 minutes, renew papers, no lines. It's all in. It's your state is in your smartphone. DIA. Pretty fancy stuff. Pretty fancy stuff. And you got to imagine the implications of all this red tape being removed. The future of governance and business and citizenry. I don't know what to tell you. There's positives and negatives, right? Mike Benz writes, I've spoken many times about how biometrics tied to bank accounts has been touted since 2013 as a key counterinsurgency strategic goal by the Pentagon in managing foreign populations, forming insurgencies against perceived U.S. interests. Now, you may not, he's referring to this whole, this mentality, this philosophy, this school of thinking, if you will, amongst the defense officials in America, okay? And it has to do a lot with, what was that happened after 9/11? Where they put in a bunch of surveillance tools to surveil the American public. Well, that was born out of this thinking, this counterinsurgency doctrine, as they call it, where they perform these psychological operations on foreign populations. These are like a known thing. Mike Benz has a great thread on this if you ever do want to read it. A great thread on this very topic of the counterinsurgency doctrine from the defense officials. And you see just how paranoid, they use this philosophy on Afghanis, right? And you see how this same paranoid philosophy has been turned inwards to the American public. Many of you already know this from 9/11 and all that. But yeah, Mike Benz has a good thing on that. Mike Benz. Thank you, Mike Benz. Where was I? They rolled it out, okay? And what's amazing about the news here, what I'm reporting on, is they rolled this DIA thing out. They got this whole thing going on. February 7th, Reuters reports Ukraine is planning on drafting a further 500,000 Ukrainians 500,000 more citizens for their war here. That's a lot. I mean, I don't know how many have died since. I feel like I saw numbers recently. It's not, war sucks no matter what, right? And you got people dying. So Ukraine is intending on drafting 500,000 more. Kiev's parliament, which now outlaws opposition parties, will soon allow for bank account seizures as a punishment for non-compliance. What the amazing news here connected to this is this little line here from Reuters. Tighter army mobilization rules targeting would-be Ukrainian soldiers and proposing asset freezes for those who are trying to dodge the draft came a step closer on Wednesday when Parliament passed the first reading of the bill. So you see, it's a big old gotcha. The Patriot Act. Thank you. Appreciate that. It was the Patriot Act. Take that in. They got them on Dia. They had the fancy smancy Apple commercial. It became the most downloaded app in Ukraine overnight, something like that I read. And boom, sorry, your bank account's frozen. Oh, sorry, you don't want to go die in this war. You think you're not going to win. You think things aren't looking so good. They keep drafting more. You personally, you don't want to fight in this war. You're wondering, why are we fighting with Russia? I don't want to fight. Well, you get your assets frozen. You get your bank accounts frozen. And it's all made possible with the power of Google, Visa, and Dia. You got to love it. Brought to you by, I'm not fighting no bankers' wars, not me, says Nada. Well, too bad, too bad to the Ukrainians if they don't want to fight a bankers' war. I don't know too much about that. You're going to give us the biometrics or we'll take them. I already gave them my biometrics, 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎. I already gave up my biometrics, now that I think about it. But it was good. It was a good, funny little segment on my show. It was worth it. Stand down. Right into the meat grinder, says Mr. Pink. It feels like that a little bit. Maybe I'm a layman. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But it seems like they just keep tossing people through this. They're saying we're going to win. I don't know. Russia doesn't seem to be backing down like I heard. Doesn't seem like any end in sight. And so I sympathize with the people saying that. And again, this may be out of ignorance, but people who are saying that the ones who are negotiating for more money and more war want more Ukrainians dead. There's no foreseeable win here for Ukraine, some say. And this war, most people don't even think about what most Americans think about. How they see this war, probably, most likely. Most Americans know that Russia attacked Ukraine, okay? That this is unprecedented. Oh, then this is a return to dictators trying to take over the world. Russia, World War II, it's happening again. You can't do that. That's against the rules, Russia. Rules-based order and all the things. Most Americans probably don't know this story starts earlier. The war was like, it goes back to 2014, and the story can go even further. They don't know Putin issued an ultimatum in 2021. And I'm not here saying which side was right, but Putin said, hey, America, don't do this and we won't have any problems. And America did it anyways. This is my understanding, right? And so in my layman understanding of this, if I'm the American public and my government's telling me, hey, you got to pay attention, man. We got to care about this. That kid is beating up that kid, like we're in a school, okay? And you got to care. You got to get involved. You got to break them apart because that kid attacked that kid. But then you come to find out, oh, but that kid is attacking that kid because of there's more to the story. It would at least make you, it wouldn't make you support Russia, but at least would make you question, well, why is my government not telling me the whole story. You now understand why Tucker is interviewing Vladimir Putin, because the American public is involved, or at least they're implicated in some way. Anyways, I have callers saying that MAGA is teaming up with Russia. They're teaming up. They're Russophiles, or they're teaming up with Russia, and I don't know. I don't know if most MAGA people are think about the war and geopolitics to that level. I think some are just, they see the American government as an enemy. And so you realize the problem with these digital IDs and the banks and this tech and all that is not the tech and the capabilities itself. It's the people dissenting from their government and therefore the system. You know, in a country where everyone agreed, no one complained, that the police have seemingly extrajudicial capabilities to, maintain the peace. It's a matter of dissenting against your government, really. So when you see, you wouldn't mind, I guess, I don't know if we'd mind if we were in a true war of sovereignty, if digital IDs nabbed those people who defected. Which would be a most cowardly move when defending your nation, right? But I guess just people don't feel like that, like they're fighting for their nation. This is someone else's war. This feels like someone else's war a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of understand the paranoia of the Defense Department. They are not wrong when they say they have a sort of, I guess you could say, a insurgent populace. They've made enemies, this government. Make Russia great again, says 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎. I don't know if Putin's doing that, But if we're here comparing, I hear the quite Christian over there. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that's dropping today. The Tucker Putin interview. Tucker Carlson is going to be is in Moscow. I think he already did the interview, but they're dropping it. They're releasing it, I think, tonight. Tucker Carlson. Yeah, I think he is. I saw a little graphic earlier. Yeah, what do you guys think? Nick and his Zelensky again. This is not a Zelensky. Well, you can't call in 888-775-3773. We used to call... Wait, what? We used to call Nick a neocon. What do you call me now? What's up, Space Cadet? Nice to have you here. NATO is evil, says Brilliance. Yeah, people got problems with some people over there, like Russia, like Putin. Some people. Putin has a problem with NATO. Encroaching on territories. What would U.S. do in the similar situation? These are fair questions, I think. Yeah. But it's not even that important. Because on the big developments on this side of the world, in the Occident, the West, we got Trump, we got Milei, right? And the Argentinian guy. Okay, we got the wings, the Western Hemisphere wings. Will we see uprising in the Western side of the world? We got Milei. We got maybe even AMLO. Well, I don't know. Mexico's about to go through an election, and they look like they're about to elect a woman. I believe they're about to. They're quite close. And I think they will be electing a woman for the first time. But don't worry about that. We got Bukele, right? We got Bukele. Isn't that going down like big time? Bukele. What an interesting name. Bukele, the Salvador guy. The Salvadorian, what, president? Are they presidents over there?
Literalmente. No.
I'm sorry, guys. Literalmente, we got the president of Salvador looking like a dictator. Aren't things looking good on this side of the world?
Literalmente, pasamos de ser el país más inseguro del mundo a ser el país más seguro de todo el hemisferio occidental.
We went from being the most dangerous country in the world to the safest country on this side of in the Western Hemisphere, he says.
El país más seguro de todo el continente americano.
Safest country in the American continent.
Está violando derechos
What will they
humanos.
tell us? He says, you're violating human rights.
¿Manos de quién? ¿De la gente honrada? No.
Oh, but he asked, but whose rights am I violating? The people of the honored people of Salvador? He's talking about prioritizing the rights. You could probably read this here, but you know, it's more fun if I say it, especially if you're listening. But he's talking about the charges he gets from the world that he's violating the rights, the human rights of these people he's throwing in jail. You've seen the videos of all these cartel people, just masses of them, just massive incarceration of them all. And he's saying, I don't care to the journalists. I asked these journalists, you know, I haven't seen this video, so we're kind of doing this live. Why do you want them to kill us? He asked the journalists, the criminals. Why aren't you happy to see? Why aren't you happy to see that the blood that used to run does not run any longer? I mean, pretty significant, pretty interesting things going on. We got the wings of Jesus Christ in the Western Hemisphere. Come on. Was that a pipe dream? Pretty interesting developments. Bukele, Trump, Milei. People are saying this video is weird, though. People are calling this weird. This video a little weird. They're saying this video is a little strange. And I want to show you. Okay, hold on. Where is it? Let me get into the network here. I'm going to have to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Okay, they're saying this video here where Milei, okay, I mentioned Milei. He's the new, what is he, a president, prime minister of Argentina. He's also another well, they say he's libertarian. But he's there being tough. He wants to shut down all these departments that are these socialist departments that are just stealing from Argentina, from the people. Bukele dealing with the crime, and despite major opposition from like the world and all that. And so I keep seeing this video. It keeps popping up on my Twitter. Let's see here. Give me 1 second as I deal with this. How do I add a folder? Oh. Okay, so this video here is where Javier Milei is at this wall. Where is this wall? I know it's somewhere in Israel. He's at this wall, and he's doing some kissing action with this wall. And it's got people, they're not happy. They're saying, why is he kissing this wall? This Zionist, this friggin' Zionist. And I just keeps popping up on my Twitter. And I honestly wasn't even going to comment on it. I don't see why I normally would. Don't have much to say. But something did strike me as I kept seeing this video posted and everyone's comments about it. They're incredulous. Javier Milei at the, what is this wall? The weeping wall? The wailing wall? Is that even called that? I honestly don't even know the significance. I know it's in Israel, the holy site of Judaism in Jerusalem, the Western Wall, known as the Wailing Wall, and in Islam as the 𒒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎, is a portion of ancient limestone in the old city of Jerusalem. Okay. The wall. Build a wall. Don't do it, Nick. Why? Don't do what? Wait, what? Don't do what? I'm gonna need you. If you're trying to warn me from something, you got to do it quick. Gypsy jib jab. I'm just playing around. Javier Milei at this wall. And here he is. They're holding him. They're holding him up. The music's emotional. He seems to be weeping, shaking with emotion. He's wailing at the Wailing Wall. Hugging. Big hugs. The hooping and hollering wall, says Mr. Pink. Chat about to go full mutiny? What am I missing here? Shut Nick down. What am I missing here? What am I saying that's controversial? Can I get into the segment? Gracias. Okay, an emotional religious moment for Javier Milei here, wishing him well in Argentina. But there's people who are not happy with this. This guy, Sovereign Bra, says, this is so weird, man. I forget what this guy posts. I forget if this guy is the guy going around posting a bunch of, like, all that, like, really violent Palestinian stuff. But I don't know about this account. It doesn't matter. That's not the point here. But he's saying this is so weird, man. This is so weird, man. It's a little weird. I don't know if it's for the same reasons that some people think, but, you know, people in the comments here are like, what's so weird, though? Dr. Ben Braddock. Once you go to the wall, you will understand it's very powerful, particularly for spiritually ascended individuals. And, yeah, people here defending it, talking about it. If you're religious at all, it's not weird in the slightest. I've been to the wall. I've walked the path Jesus did as he was led to his execution. It gave me goosebumps. I didn't cry, but I was definitely emotional. Emotional. This person, too, was emotional at this weeping, wailing wall. Balls to the wall. Oh, I shouldn't just be repeating things that the chat writes, especially when the sun is up. Soccer balls to the wall. You don't know what balls, folks. Get your minds out of the gutter. Andrew, a spiritual moment at a holy site is weird, he asks. I feel like he's crying for reasons that have nothing to do with the wall. So people are discussing it. They're wondering. They're saying it's normal. They all agree, though, it's an emotional thing, right? So many agree that this is emotional, a religious experience, an emotional religious experience. It's not weird. It's just different. We care for your well-being, LOL. Am I going to get Hillaried? What's going on? I'm like an innocent anchor. I'm sincerely an innocent anchor baby right now. I may be privy to some knowledge sometimes, but I'm just showing you this weeping wall. And I'm seeing, the wailing wall. And I'm seeing they cry. And I'm seeing them say this is weird. But this may be a silly take, but people are weird with their religion. Think about this. Like, you've seen those Bible Thumper Thursday videos? People are emotional about God. They're like emotional, and they think that's real. They think that's real. They think that's spirituality. They think that's connection to God. And everyone's like that. Every religious person is like that. It's the phoniest thing. I just remember some of that is what turned me away from it, seeing this emotion. And that it didn't seem logical, and it made me mad. I judged it as a kid or whatever, but it didn't seem logical, this emotion. But they all do it. America has become a cult, hopping around, hooping and hollering, even going as far as sometimes tongues. I don't know how common that is, but they go around. They call themselves Baptists. I don't know. They said it speaks in tongues. He said it. I want it. You've seen those Thumper Thursday videos. They're full of emotion. They think that's God. So this is really not that strange. In that someone would be feel religious emotion over, especially at a time like this. And I'm not here to counter signal. I don't even know why I'm trying to explain myself to the conspiracy theorists. I'm not here counter signaling like as if there isn't people out there, even in our own government, that seem to act for other governments, right? In seemingly way. We saw Ilhan Omar, what's this guy? Ron DeSantis going to Israel and writing these anti-Semitism laws, essentially, limiting the speech of Americans? You went to another country to do that? It's strange stuff, so I'm not here to counter-signal any of that. I'm just here to bring a little bit of sobriety to some of our right-wing, possibly even Christian brethren here. And instead see maybe the real, what would be really cool is the real insight to gather from the video. There may be weird government stuff. I don't know. Come at me with some real stuff though. But the real insight, I think, is this conspiracy in religious people, in our minds. Emotional people think they're connected to God. You see all these people wailing at this wall. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're a shill for Israel. Well, you're a shill for Satan. You're a shill for the devil with all your emotions, man." But I'm not gonna blame him too hard. Most Christians are emotional, huh? It's not. I should be maybe a little tougher though, because that's more offensive than anything, in my opinion. It's all this emotion for God. He's an emotional guy though. He's all animated, and he's got a lot of fire in him. He's got a lot of fire for Argentina, and I think that can be appreciated. And Millet is Jewish apparently. Hake is saying in my chat he might be Jewish. He's asking. Millet is Jewish, right? I thought he was. That would make even more sense. I thought he was Christian. Javier Millet. The grand conspiracy is all this crying. You think that's God. Argentinian Trump. Hake, no, he's not Jewish. He's an atheist. Right. Well, I don't know if he's an atheist or all that. Carlota in my chat says he's an atheist. And that would kind of coincide with the libertarian stuff. It would make the crying a little stranger if you're not a religious person, if you're like this, right? You know what I mean? Maybe, but he's this fiery, emotional person, and he the same fire he feels for the injustice against his own people, he feels for the for the Jews. But I thought he was somewhat religious. Yeah. People are weird with all this religion. It's like that in Mexico too. When I went, it's all emotion. It's all emotion, and man, the Hispanics. The white people gave them Jesus and God, and the Caribbean, the Jamaicans, is that Caribbean? The South Americans, the Mexicans, they did some weird stuff with Catholicism, Christianity. But I guess so did the whites and blacks. Who did it first? What came first? The speaking in tongues in the black church, in the black Baptist, Southern Baptist church, or is it the whites? It doesn't matter. This is a silly race war. You guys know I'm just messing around. That's not really important. Whatever Google says. Right on, Space Cadet. If emotion is bad, why did Jesus weep before raising Lazarus from the dead? Asks Morn. What do you think that meant, Morn? What do you think that meant? 888-775-3773. So true, Nick. These people begging for reparations. We already gave them salvation. Carver being tough in the chat, but I like it. That's what white people should be saying. Anytime anybody comes up with Native history, this American blah 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 history month, and you got to know this, your original sin. White people should be saying, "You ungrateful people, we gave you God," and do it in like a plantation voice or something. We gave you savages God. Milei, Javier. Trump didn't cry. Trump did not cry. I'll have you know, he did not cry at the wall. He may have been at the wall, but he did not cry. Okay? You friggin' people. Look at him, even tough. No matter what, even at the Wailing, they say some say you don't look tough at the Wailing Wall, but even Trump's looking tough there. Now, no wailing or weeping. Why do they call it the Wailing Wall? Didn't they say? Is there any gnashing too at the Wailing Wall? Is there gnashing of teeth? What am I talking about? I'm just using biblical buzzwords at this point. I'm trying to show you Trump not crying. MAGA. Let's go. You didn't see him cry. I find it intriguing that so many Western leaders and celebrities seem to pay homage to Israel. It's as if they all bow down to some person. I'm showing you this video by Red Pill USA in response to this whole thread with Milei. And he shows this video, and it's like a compilation here. With no sound, apparently. Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton. They got them at the wall. Mike Pence, so they got the Pope, you know. Jair, but I mean, I don't know. You know, they also got all these celebrities. You notice they got Will Smith, Jennifer Lopez. Wow, Vern Troyer, this guy, the little guy in the Austin Powers movies. Tom Brady, you know, like Ronnie Coleman. Yeah, buddy. Hey, I didn't know Ronnie Coleman was at the Wailing Wall, whatever they call it. Yeah, buddy. Alabama represent in Israel. I want to go to the wall now if Ronnie Coleman went. Yeah, buddy. What is this? So the Jews are great at PR. The Jews are absolute fantastic PR. They are PR masters. They are absolute PR masters. What can you say? What are y'all saying here? 888-775-3773. Let me see what's going on here. Legend. Who's the legend? What's... This rock is not like the others. Obama touched the wall. He's still a Muslim, but Trump touched it. All of a sudden, that means he's a Jewish? What the? Interesting comment, Carver. I don't know if you're just messing around. But yeah, isn't that wall like for all Abrahamic religions? Isn't this where we can have 15 years of Van Halen so that we can stay together? The Muslims, this is a South Park reference. The Muslims, the Jews, and the Christians. Isn't this a holy land for all? I forget. Someone remind me. Someone help me out here. Let's all get along. The Queen of England was the only who refused that humiliation ritual. Is that true? I don't know if a humiliation ritual. Ronnie Coleman is the legend. You're so right about that. Anyways, the Queen. No, okay, I see what you're saying. No, I don't think you're saying that Trump was secretly Jewish. I see that you are responding to another comment now, Carver. It's just a funny one because, Trump gets a lot of flack. Anyways, so I got calls. I got other things here. Let me see what else I wanted to show you. I believe. I do declare. Let me see here. I'm trying to navigate this snazzy new thing here. on this computer. How do I put these in? Oh, that's cool. I figured it out, I think. And this is important because it's important that I figure this out because this is what Mark Zuckerberg would look like if he was black. And so that's why I really thank all of you for your donations and all that. It's with your help that we can use technology in this method, in this way. AI, incredible things, really. This is, in fact, Elon Musk if he was black. If you want to see that, this is Elon Musk if he was black. And that's why we are grateful for technology, even if they will use them to freeze our bank accounts if we say the wrong thing. Let me get to a call before we move on here. I got some other stuff to get into. There's an interesting spat on Twitter over slavery, a little bit more foreign policy stuff, and some amazing things from the Supreme Court. Everything is fake. Marquise Zuckerberg. Oh, Shabbat or Chabot in my chat. Not sure why you said Michael Jackson. I didn't show you a picture of Michael Jackson. But I mean, since you ask, I wasn't planning on it on this, but since you mentioned it, here's Michael Jackson as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I wasn't planning on this, but since you asked, Shabbat, that's fine. I will oblige. This is Michael Jackson as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Great stuff. Okay. Great stuff. Did you know Michael Jackson really wanted to be Spider-Man? True story. He also wanted to be Uncle Ben. Look it up. I got, let me open up my calls here. I can't even see y'all. I got Hector out of New Mexico. Appreciate your call, sir. You're on the air.
Hey, what's up, Nick? Not New Mexico. It's from California.
Oh, yeah. I got New Mexico here. I got a Hector from New Mexico before, but this is Hector out of California, 100%. Yeah. How you doing, sir? Nice to hear from you.
Great. I just wanted to see what your thought process was on this from yesterday's show when you were talking about people would rather trade liberties for, you could say, quote-unquote, security. Do you think it's going to get to the point where people are just going to be happy with being spoon-fed and everything by the government as long as they just take care of them? Like, they'll be happy with that as long as they trade all their liberties away?
They already are, and they clamor for it more. They want gun laws. They see any little attack, especially if it's children, or they'll ignore all the shootings and blacks that blacks do and all that. But it's just, they'll see these little niños killed in school, and they clamor for it. They want more. They want what you're saying, man. They want the gun laws. And what I was saying yesterday was in connection to that Jennifer Crumbly story, who's facing jail time and all that. And even in this tough, even if a new mass shooting was popping up every week, a populace who would rather free, right? We get challenged here, but I think it's clear that people want the security.
Right. And then to follow up on that, let me put my tinfoil hat on. Do you think it is, to some degree, government, what's the word I'm looking for? It's government funded to orchestrate these things, or some things are just organic, or maybe the way society's pushing, it causes more of the same scenarios to pop up?
What I think government, how government, I think, affects people and stuff, and okay, what I'm trying to say here is that what we see coming out of the government is represented by a certain percentage of the government being a certain way. So you start adding to the government more and more people who are, for example, they got a problem with white people. You start seeing the fruits of that.
Right.
And so what I'm trying to say here is that I don't know if it's exactly government orchestrated to that level. But what I'm trying to say is that you don't really need to when hearts and minds are evil.
Right.
When the
and do you
people
think it's going to get to the point
greedy
where we're going to have...
Go on.
No. Do you think it's going to get to the point where, I guess you could say, because there's going to be radicals on both left and right, do you think it's going to get to the point where there's actually going to be like physical conflict between left and right? Because the way it's shaping up, especially with the upcoming elections, it looks like things are getting crazy and hectic. Something that Jesse always goes over is like neither left or right are correct because they're both being fueled by emotions. Because one thinks it's more right than the other. Do you think it's going to get to the point where there's going to be physical conflict, or do you think this is more of anything? It's like a show to put on.
I think thinking either way is a mistake because it's all in the future and we just don't know. It's really a mistake to think that because anything could really happen, man. And really, either scenario, the scenarios you've brought up have happened. There's been countries who've gone through calamities, but the social order did not collapse. We're talking about the world wars. The social order did not collapse. People still went to work and all that. We've had nations go through civil wars where, like kind of like America, you got the people keep dividing into two sides, and eventually one side has to win so that the country can be governed effectively, at least to a certain degree again. And and that's happened. That's happened in history where civil wars turn bloody and one side wins, or otherwise, where it happens through a coup, or I'm thinking through politics and elections, right? So that's all speculation. We don't know.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your input. I appreciate it. Thank you for taking my call, Nick.
Yeah, right on. Appreciate your call too, Hector. Right on. Call me again.
All right. Bye.
Right on. Little yeah. I'm not sure. Who knows? But I don't see anything stopping a surveillance, police, state, etc. And people will be begging for it as these blacks get more out of control. It's all getting out of control in a sense. Homeless and all that. I say that to make a bombastic point that they're leading the way. And out of the fear of not saying and being honest with black people, we'd rather a police state and our liberties gone than be honest and say, hey, blacks, your problem is not racism. It's easier. A police state would be easier. An oppressive, violation of our rights. Yeah, no, do it. I don't care. Cameras in my home. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. As long as I'm safe. Yeah. Now, where were we? What's up, DJ 2020? Thank you. Americans, the biggest prisoners per capita. DJ 2020 is funny in my Rumble chat. He's oftentimes funny. And I don't even know if it's a he. None of my business. Thanks for the support, though. Knickers going neocon. Anchored, show me your papers. I got papers, DJ 2020. Remember, my parents abused the immigration laws fair and square. There was a spat. Okay, I want to tell you about this. There was a spat on Twitter. X, Twitter. Okay, I'm going to call it. I always call it Twitter. Doesn't seem to be going away. Even here, it says twitter.com, Elon Musk. I don't know what to tell you, man. But it all started with a tweet. It started with one tweet. And this tweet got 3.4 million views on an account that really isn't that, it's not really a big account, right? So it just seems like a regular guy who went super viral. 3.4 million views here on X. I don't know if that's a lot. Maybe that's not a lot. Seems like a lot to me. So it all started with a tweet. Slavery is white history. Oh, wait, no, sorry. That's Michael Jackson still. No, sorry. We're going to need, can you pull up, we're going to need to pull up the computer. Great. That's great. Thank you. We could save Michael Jackson for another day. Slavery is white history. How we survived it is black history. 3.4 million views have went viral here. Uzi is the tweeter in question. Looking like he has, what is that like a, does he have all the things? He has the Apple Watch, the iPhone maybe, the Tesla or whatever that is. Does he have all the things? He says he's a Jew. He's a Jew. Yahweh. I've never seen it spelled like that, or maybe I haven't. I just didn't notice. Yahweh. Yahweh, maybe. Maybe that's just pronounced Yahweh, but pronounced different. God, if you didn't know. Wah and Yahawashi, Christ. Yahweh, Wah, Yahawashi. I don't know what language that is, but that's Uzi. He's not Jewish. He's Jew. So don't play around with Uzi. This got a lot of attention. It got Matt Walsh to respond, conservative, out of the Daily Wire cinematic universe. Matt Walsh. Slavery is world history, Matt Walsh corrects and educates this young individual. White people did not invent it and were not the first to practice it, but were the first to abolish it. The last place in the world to still have legal slavery was Africa, and it wasn't fully legally abolished on the continent until 1981. Little education there. Looks at his map. He a black Israelite. Look at his map. He's a black Israelite. What are you talking about, Prep Ham Paul? Are you asking us to go back to this guy's profile and look at the map he posted there? Yeah, what am I looking at here, Prep Ham Paul? You seem to know better than I. Gold Coast, Slave Coast, Judea. Oh, look, it looks like Judah. Judah is underlined. Jews in Africa is written in red here. Jews in Africa. Huh. Well, I don't know much about all that stuff. The bluish folks. Uzi is a Jewish name, right? It's a Jewish submachine gun name. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, Hake. That's an interesting point. Back to what we're saying here. Matt Walsh, continuing the saga here, may be the one who possibly gave him all the impressions. Not sure how this saga panned out, but Matt Walsh responds. It was white people did not invent it. Guess what? It was abolished. Just a little education. 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 getting in on the conversation here. You know Ibram 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 from his shameless anti-white writings and all this. Trying to teach people how racist white people are. Says about Matt Walsh's response here, he calls it an ultimate white savior statement. Call it what you want, it's 100% true. Quips back Joel Berry, editor of the Babylon Bee. Everyone's getting involved. We got everyone in from the. This is all the verses. Are all the verses uniting here? The black verse, the I don't know, what is this? Christian meme verse, the Daily Wire verse. So the spat continues with one final slap here to end it. Keith Woods coming in as the final superhero on the Conservative Justice League. Comes in, swoops it, flies in to tell 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 what's what. He tells him black people contributed little to the abolition of slavery. And what Keith Woods is responding to, final context here, if you believe this to be 100% true, Ibram responds to Joel from earlier, or Joel, then that means you believe black people contributed little to the abolition of slavery. Since you are so stuck on white saviors, you want to save yourself from ignorance. It's like, Ibram, a moment ago, you sounded like, this sounds like you are appreciative of the whites who who abolished slavery. You just want a little bit of attention for the blacks. A moment ago, it didn't quite sound like that, man. What's up with these I don't know, these international, I don't know, Pan-Africanists. I don't know what you call these people, but they're sometimes based, but sometimes they show their teeth. It's like, what are you mad about here, man? When you dig, it's because they do think the white people committed horrible things. So finally here, Keith Woods ends it off here, says Europeans could have kept them enslaved for as long as they wanted, as was the norm. 10 million Africans were enslaved by Arabs over 13 centuries. Africans enslaved each other when they could and cooperated with Europeans. Race hustlers like Kenny can't face the fact that everything he has, including his role as some kind of public intellectual to attack whites, is only possible because of white benevolence. A little Twitter spat that I came across shooting from the bow here. The conservatives had to display that one for you here today. It's just easy pickings, but they just they continue to be mad. The races here, they continue to be quite angry with each other, not really wanting to drop it. Based historical argument. But these are the types that, talking with Hector earlier, Ibram types are in the government. Ibram types are they're here, that they're your neighbors. They're in the walls. No. But a little bit of history there in a very viral spat, very public and viral spat. What a mess. Horrible. Who are you calling that? Stop calling it Twitter. I didn't think someone would be unhappy with that in my chat. What's retarded about this? Wait, what's... I got people in my chat saying that we are etarded, Ray. Lil Nicky Vert. Anyways. Don't say the R word. Too late, Chris. Too late. I'm just checking my chat here, folks, as before we move on to the next thing. I do want to get into, maybe a little side note here on foreign policy, but also Trump here. Incredible things. The big news here with the Supreme Court, not still unsure, but what I mean by unsure is we'll see what the Supreme Court decides, but they are indicating that they're leaning towards Trump to rule in Trump's favor. First slave society was in Greece. Prove me wrong. At Nick. But wait. I don't understand, Frederick. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. What's the gotcha? I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't know if I ever said anything about slave societies in Greece. First slave society was in Greece. Prove me wrong. Is this because, are you bringing that up because of what I read here, Matt Walsh, and the first, what was Matt Walsh saying again here? Let's see if we can entertain this a little bit. Slavery is world history. White people did not invent it. So I guess what Frederick is saying is he's responding to Matt Walsh, and I guess he's saying white people did invent it and that they were not the first to practice it. But that white people were the first to practice it if Greece was the first slave colony. But, you know, I don't even think that's too strong of a point that Matt Walsh was making. It's not a point that I'd care too much about. I was just reading what he wrote. But whether white people were the first to practice it and invent it or not is really, I don't know, secondary. If anything, that would mean they truly are the inventive, enterprising people I see them to be. It's like, if not me, somebody's gotta. If not me, somebody else is gonna do it. I don't really think that would be too strong of a point in trying to argue anything about slavery and all this by trying to find out who was the first to invent it. Because the fact remains, slavery is a world history. It is a practiced by everyone. And who ended it? Who stopped it? So I don't know. I wasn't even trying to fight you on that, Frederick. Maybe you want to take it up with Matt about white people inventing it or not. I think it's really not that important. Dang white people, they even stole slavery, says Chris. I mean, look, sounds like they're enterprising folks. I mean, if not them, if it wasn't going to be them, someone else was going to do it first. Don't be jealous that they thought of it first. Don't be jealous that white people thought of it first. What a mess. That's funny. Silly stuff. Slavery is in the code of Hammurabi in ancient Mesopotamia. What Hammurabi? That sounds familiar. Hammurabi. The Babylonian code of law or conduct. Now, who were the Babylonians? I don't know much about them. I might have to do my homework. I might have to do a little homework on that. But you know what I did do? A little tiny bit of, well, I don't know if I did homework. It's just some news here. You know, I mentioned Ukraine, right? You got the American public, some of your neighbors even, plastering their social media or cars with blue and white little flags. I mean, not blue and white, blue and yellow. Yellow and blue little flags for Ukraine. So that's why the topic is interesting to me. But on this foreign policy stuff, you know, I'm not that smart on all this. I'm not that I don't know that much, but I came across a little bit of news here from the Taiwan defense update. U.S. Army Special Forces will be stationed with the Republic of China's Army's 101st Amphibious Reconnaissance Battalion on a long-term basis on the Matsu Islands. The Matsu Islands. Okay. And I pretty much just came into understanding of the significance here. I'll show you the picture that made it clear for me. But in talking about this was even brought up yesterday. People wonder, well, why are people on the right seemingly supportive of Russia? And I don't know how deep that support goes. Like, I think that's a little ridiculous. But it brings into question the whole story that we're told from our own government, why this war is even happening, why we're over there in certain areas, why we're in Ukraine is to stop, essentially, is my understanding, is to stop the takeover of a evil dictator like Putin who wants to just take over, bring back the Soviet Union. We're told about Taiwan as well, and that whole region, Taiwan and China and all this. The U.S. CENTCOM, Central Command, has announced they have put U.S. Army Special Forces on an island off of Taiwan and off of, obviously, China. Right? Taiwan's off of the mainland of China, so these islands near both of them is where these U.S. Special Forces will be stationed. In a move that some are calling unbelievably provocative. And so when you see this picture, let me show you. This is the view of Kinmen, which is one of the islands here, one of the Matsu Islands, okay? This is the view of Kinmen from the mainland Chinese city of Xiamen. U.S. Special Forces troops will be stationed there. What would the U.S. do in a similar situation should PLA troops, People's Liberation Army, I believe, of China, on an island this close to one of our own major cities? You know, I saw this picture. I'm like, wait a second. You mean like this? Like, you're telling me like I can't think of an island on this side, but what, like Liberty Island off New York? I'm driving up the PCH and I can see an island and it's full of Chinese troops and ships. I think the American public would be right to be a little bit concerned here. And if you're a layman, if you're just a person and a citizen who doesn't care too much about all these foreign conflicts and all that, and you might wonder, and you might have just heard, well, we got to protect the rules-based order of the world, and we have to maintain order. And you think, well, it sounds right to me. Consider for a moment that your own government is playing this double standard. They're not telling you the full story. They start right in the middle. It should at least be, I'm not taking a side here, I don't know. It should at least be assigned to not just go along with stuff. Because this is far from a support for Putin. I'm sure they have their problems too. So anyways, rules-based international order. You know, this comes as the U.S. let out a Hellfire missile strike in Baghdad, which is in Iraq, to understand how the situation is heating up here. You gotta realize that U.S. and Iraq, they have friendly. They're basically they got friendly relations, okay, with America having assets, I believe, and stuff out there, maybe even soldiers. It's these soldiers and assets and bases that were attacked by Iranian-backed militants. Can we keep it general here? We'll keep it general so that we don't make an inaccurate statement out of ignorance. But yeah, these Iranian-backed militants, right? You see these tit-for-tat strikes that you heard about in the news, I'm sure. They now carried out these strikes in Yemen, Syria, Iraq. And when it comes to these conflicts, you got to understand that what's happening here is a wide scope of actors are being involved, okay? When you have Iranian militants striking U.S. soldiers and assets, and you just send a big old missile back to that area, you end up striking more than you need to. And so that's what's going on here. You have even Iraqi citizens taken to the streets after assassinations and strikes, saying God is great, America is the great Satan, seemingly bringing back, or what should I say, fueling old embers in Iraq and versus the U.S. here. So it gets more unstable, right? The whole situation is getting a little crazy, a little wild. And I bring this up, the Matsu Islands, this island, and the U.S. putting their army there. And I bring this up to really not my point here, but it's just a point I read about. There's a school of thought, if you will, on this whole foreign policy stuff that has to do with wars and the wars that have happened in the last 100 years. And it's this realistic approach. And there's a school of thought that has not concluded. There's a school of thought that has to do with foreign policy that looks at the world and sees the wars that have happened, and they've concluded that these wars that have happened are hegemonic wars, okay? Where a number one power is alarmed at the rise of a number two challenger, and that number one power allies itself with the number three power, fails to maintain this position, and this shifting power dynamic is the precipitate for a great war, okay? You following? This is a school of thought that I've read about, okay? I don't even know. It's just an interesting thing I wanted to bring up. A thread that you might want to pull on yourself. And I think it's kind of looks like that when I look at the wars that are happening right now. But I don't know. I'm a layman. I don't quite know. Just wanted to bring that up, though. I wanted to bring it up as we get into this final thing here. This saga with the Supreme Court and Trump. 888-775-3773. See some people in the chat want to get into I see some of you were trying to get in on some conversation here. You're welcome to call 888-775-3773. But you know about Trump? You know about Trump? You know he was taking off these ballots, right? I mean, if you don't know, there's right now the Supreme Court heard oral arguments on this 14th Amendment case, okay? And if you don't know, the saga has to do with Trump and the 2024 election, and some pretty major developments happened December of last year, okay? Colorado. The Colorado Supreme Court deemed Donald Trump ineligible for the White House, okay? Taking him off the ballot. They're saying that under this constitutional insurrection clause, okay, the 14th Amendment, and they removed him from the state's presidential primary ballot. This was back in December. Later that same month, Maine, a top election official removed Trump from the state's 2024 primary ballot in a shock decision based as well on the same 14th Amendment insurrectionist ban. Historic, right? I mean, these are firsts, folks. This has never happened. And, of course, Trump was thought to challenge this with his own legal team and that this would go to the Supreme Court. And it finally did. It did. But what's also significant about this is that it was thought that the Supreme Court would then have to decide if Trump really did commit an insurrection. So this is from CNN. The Supreme Court signaled Thursday it is poised to back former President Donald Trump and to fend off a blockbuster challenge to his eligibility to appear on Colorado's ballot, potentially by a wide margin. It's looking like he's got a lot of support. During 2 hours of arguments, Chief Justice John Roberts and the High Court's other conservative justices peppered the lawyers representing Trump's challengers with a series of questions that suggested they were seeking a way to side with the former president, most likely based on reasoning that does not address the question of whether he is or is not an insurrectionist. So they wanted to completely sidestep that whole question. Too spicy. I laugh because it almost feels like if I were a producer for a show, I'd tell him, yeah, no, don't deal with the insurrectionist stuff. We got to leave that for the last act. We got to leave that for the final act. And you know what I mean? If I was a producer for a play or a show, it's like, yeah, let's totally, because everyone's waiting, right? So are they gonna say if he was an insurrectionist or not? Because then this would have to do with the case charging him as an insurrectionist, with the whole motivation to keep him from running. And then we're at the edge of our seats and, stay tuned. Stay tuned on that one. But it looks like according to early reports, that they will be siding with Trump, possibly. Leslie McAdoo Gordon. Leslie McAdoo Gordon. I don't know. She's a lawyer, okay, a lawyer and a writer. and a proud hillbilly here on Twitter. She was following live coverage of this hearing, and she mentions some interesting moments in this as she was live tweeting this whole thing. How even the liberal justices like Kagan saying that she seems doubtful that it makes sense that one state can make the call for the entire nation. It's looking like 9-0 so far on the side of Trump. We'll see how that turns out, though. According to Leslie, the other side's lawyers were just banging on over and over on insurrection, which was not impressing the justices. And they seem to have deliberated that quite a bit. They're trying to totally sidestep this insurrectionist stuff, though. Like, let's not even touch that. Nick interviewing for that job at CNN right now. But okay. On this, interesting stuff coming out of it, though. I told you about Kagan's response there. Ketanji. How could we move on here without hearing from Ketanji Brown Jackson? Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. That wasn't Biden's pick. This was televised or broadcasted by C-SPAN somewhere. People are already clipping up moments of this hearing, with the Supreme Court and Trump's lawyers. And this one moment is getting attention where Ketanji Brown Jackson is speaking with Trump's lawyers, one of them, Jonathan Mitchell, and they're having a little back and forth here about this very claim about insurrection, and Trump's lawyers not conceding, and I think Ketanji Brown Jackson seemingly getting maybe a little bit hot, a little bit heated. You get me tight, get me hot right now. You get me cheesed, the dog. Okay, I want to show you that clip. Ketanji Brown Jackson, Supreme Court Justice, firebrand Supreme Court Justice. Justice for all. Okay, let's watch Ketanji.
All right, final question.
Let me pause that. Let me turn that up. We're going to need a little boosty on that. A little boost on the volume there. Let's watch.
All right, final question. The Colorado Supreme Court concluded that the violent attempts of the petitioner's supporters in this case to halt the count on January 6th qualified as an insurrection as defined by Section 3. And I read your opening brief to accept that those events counted as an insurrection, but then your reply seemed to suggest that they were not. So what is your position as to that?
We never accepted or conceded in our opening brief that this was an insurrection. What we said in our opening brief was President Trump did not engage in any act that can plausibly be characterized as insurrection.
All right, so why would this not be an insurrection? What is your argument that it's not? Your reply brief says that it wasn't because I think you say it did not involve an organized attempt to overthrow the government. So
that's one of many reasons. But for an insurrection, there needs to be an organized, concerted effort to overthrow the government of the United States through violence. And this
so riot the point is that a chaotic effort to overthrow the government is not an insurrection?
No, we didn't concede that it's an effort to overthrow the government either, Justice Jackson.
I wish we could see your face.
Right. None of these criteria were met. This was a riot. It was not an insurrection. The events were shameful, criminal, violent, all of those things, but it did not qualify as insurrection as that term is used in Section 3.
Thank you.
Because,
this is shooing him off. Thank you. Thank you.
Counsel? Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you. And so what happened there, if you kind of missed it, it was a exchange between Ketanji Brown Jackson, Supreme Court Justice, and Trump's lawyers there. And she's trying to get him to say it's an insurrection. You even said it was an insurrection, sir. You said it was an insurrection in your opening statements or whatever, which centered around, if you were following, it centered around the lawyers agreeing that there was some group, probably some legislature, some phony legislature, probably full of female-minded people anyways, that concluded somewhere. Let's in fact, just for posterity's
All right,
sake.
final question.
Let's find out what she said here.
The Colorado Supreme Court.
It was the Colorado Supreme Court.
Concluded that the violent attempts of the petitioner.
There you go. Thank you. So she's saying she was the centers around the lawyers, Trump's lawyers, agreeing that the Colorado Supreme Court did do this, that those are factual things, that this factually happened, that the Colorado Supreme Court concluded that Trump committed an insurrection. That doesn't mean they're saying Trump committed an insurrection. They're just saying, yeah, we agree that that happened, that this phony court in Colorado decided to come up with some phony charges like this. And she's trying to make him say, well, then you agreed that it is an insurrection. You literally said it in your statement. No. We're just saying that we agreed that that happened, miss. That's pretty clear. But we're not saying Trump committed an insurrection. Okay, yeah, well, so then what's your reason? We're saying it wasn't, it was a riot, it was horrible, but it's not insurrection. You need to have planning. You need to have da-da-da. Okay, thank you. You can hear the anger in her voice. Attitude. Mean just now realizing Sotomayor and Ellen Kagan are two different people. Yeah, two female liberal justices, Carver. That's not the only ones. There's more than those. We got Amy Coney Barrett, another female liberal Supreme Court justice. Ketanji, another female liberal Supreme Court justice. Did I mention Amy? The liberal Supreme Court? Anyways. To Obama Supreme Court. Yeah, true. Thanks, Hake. Oh, man. It doesn't... Was that normal questioning? I think that was their normal probing questions, though, right? Or is that biased? I need a lawyer to help me on this. Ketanji heard their response. She heard their response, right? She asked them, okay, what's your reasoning then? If in your opening statement you're not saying he's an insurrectionist, so then what's your reasoning? They give their response, and she says, so your point is that a chaotic effort to overthrow the government is not an insurrection? Is that like counter-signaling language? Like, what happened there? I need a lawyer to explain that moment, that exchange for me, where she's like, so what you're saying is, what do you call that in legal world? Because she heard their response, but then didn't like it, so she poo-pooed the response by saying, well, what you're basically saying is a chaotic effort, which they never said. Well, I guess he called it a riot, which is a chaotic effort. Your point is that a chaotic effort to overthrow the government is not an insurrection? Is that bias? Like, I don't know how that works. I hate Clarence Thomas. Whoa. Dang, Frederick. I thought you believed in God or something. Out here, I thought Frederick in my chat is a fine person. I don't have a problem with him. I thought he believed in God and stuff. I hate Clarence Thomas. Huh. What's wrong with Clarence Thomas? I heard he was quite based during all this. Quite knowledgeable and aware of the country and all that. One of the lawyers trying to say that Trump was an insurrectionist. I saw this exchange between him and Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas very, very expertly telling him how the 14th Amendment does not fit here. It does not have any play here. Man, Trump was off of another ballot, though. I didn't know this. Trump was kept off another ballot. It was not just Colorado. It was not just Maine. He was also off the Nevada primary ballot. Now, he wasn't kept off of it in the same way like Colorado and Maine did. This was actually, I believe, his doing. He did this on purpose. You may have missed this. Huge, embarrassing, humiliating moment for Nikki Haley over there in Nevada. Trump was not on the Nevada's presidential primary ballot there. And this has to do with, so, you know, if you haven't heard by now, Nikki Haley, huge loss for Nikki Haley in Nevada there. Nevada? I forgot how to say that. And the big humiliating defeat, the big headline is that she lost to none of these candidates. So the story goes, how do I word this? She lost to ballots marked none of these candidates because you couldn't vote for Trump, right? And so what Trump told his supporters to do is to go and just write on the ballots instead and write none of these candidates, meaning none of the candidates on the ballot, not Haley, not anybody else. And so when the results came in, Haley lost to none of these candidates, which is quite embarrassing. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, but this was, if you were following these primaries and all this, Haley has been calling the Nevada race, the primary race in Nevada, rigged. Because what happened is Trump rigged it. Trump rigged it, sort of. Republicans in Nevada decided to, how do I put this? They engineered a confusing outcome, okay? They're supposed to have a primary, but instead they had a caucus where you have people come into a room and vote, like physically. Like you just raise your hand or something like that. Or you literally go to one side of the room, as opposed to these primaries where you go and you write, you vote on a ballot and it's a different process, right? A caucus is you go into a room and you go to one side of the room and you make your vote that way. And they're doing a completely different process in Nevada. They already did. Where Trump would be kept off the ballot. Instead, they would go to do their own thing. I'm sorry. I'm presenting this horribly because I don't even know myself. Let's let Haley present it. Let's let Nikki Haley present it. Rigged from the start, she says. Rigged from the start.
Such a scam.
Does that situation in Nevada hurt a little bit?
No, I mean, Nevada, it's such a scam. They were supposed to have a primary. Trump rigged it so that the GOP chairman, who's been indicted, would go and create a caucus. We knew months ago that we weren't going to spend a day or a dollar in Nevada because it wasn't worth it. And so we didn't even count Nevada. That wasn't anything we were looking at. We knew that was rigged from the start. Our focus is on South Carolina, Michigan, Super Tuesday. So if you look what we did in Iowa and you look what we did in New Hampshire, we're continuing to grow. That's what matters, I think, more than anything else. But look at what happened this week. Here you have Republicans lost a major vote on the border. Republicans lost a major vote on Israel. Donald Trump was found that he will not have immunity in all of these court cases coming up. The RNC chair is fired. All of this chaos is happening around us, and Donald Trump's fingerprints are on every bit of it. We can't continue as the Republican Party to go forward with this chaos. You don't defeat
the chaos she's talking about. The mess is because
Democrat chaos.
All this chaos is good for the people. The chaos and the mess in the Republicans is good for the people. They're trying to put, she's saying the Israel and all the stuff that the Republicans couldn't work together on and push forth. We don't want those bills. We don't want to fund Israel and Ukraine and all these dumb wars. And for what? What do we get out of it? 5,000 a day coming through the border? And she's okay with this. And she's blaming Trump for it not working, for all this chaos. All this chaos in Nevada. This is why they got rigged and I didn't even win. Haley, and she also mentions Ronna McDaniel stepping down and all. Even more chaos. The head of the RNC stepping down. Why do you think she stepped down? all those failures she accrued. What do you think the lowest fundraising in a decade? Why do you think, Haley? It's because voters are done with Republicans. They see this. Look, let me show you something. Let me show you a firebrand GOP candidate. They see Ronna McDaniel walking through those halls saying, yeah, there's too many men here. I'm glad to bring a feminine touch to everything. And you wonder why Republicans are done, or conservatives, or especially young conservatives. Why do you think they're turning away from the whole thing? Because Haley, you represent this old guard that we're done with, that Trump is challenging. They push this crap. Look, GOP candidate, Valentina for Secretary of State, Valentina Gomez, firebrand conservative, MAGA, America first, she says. This is your GOP.
This is what I will do to the growing books when I become Secretary of State.
This is what I'll do. This is what I'll do to the books. Did she say box? She's talking about books, if you don't know. She's talking about books. She's talking about LGBTQ books that the mothers are sick of.
When I become Secretary of State.
Let's go. Welcome to the main event. Applying pressure, but I promise I ain't making that.
These books, I'm going to mute it because of the music. These books come from a Missouri library, and they will burn. They will burn. Okay? And Jess. And they will burn, and Jess. And books. And books. This is your GOP. And, you know, what's funny is looking through her Twitter, she's probably a little better than most. She's all like, Jesus is king, America first. I mean, some of the memes she posts, kind of signal-y a little bit. But look, it's time, folks and fellas. It's time for us to take the torch here, so to speak, from her hands and let her maybe deal with, maybe have some bambinos at home or something. And you wonder, Ronna McDaniel, why the GOP had the lowest funding ever. Say hello to my little friend. Not attractive accent at all. Mildly, though. Yeah, heck no, says CSS Element. I just look. You wonder why it was the lowest funding. And books and I don't know. Cringe city. She should be making tacos in the kitchen, says Carlota. Based book burning. That may be somewhat true. We don't need these kinds of books. Valentina Sal. Oh, man. But what gets me, too, is that this would work. Is that this, like, style of advertising works somewhat is what also gets me. Yeah, mamas, stopping the grooming. No more grooming. Why are you sending them to the schools anyways? When you say young conservative, what age do you mean? Are young people ever conservative? I feel like it's very uncommon. Borderline strange for anybody under 25 to be conservative. I feel like that might have been true. Everything is fake at some point. But why am I seeing all this stuff about Zoomers and the Zoomers being anti-feminist? It feels like you got to understand everything is fake. Ever since 2016, politics and tech have enjoyed a renaissance like never before. We're talking about the phone, the smartphone being as, I think 2016 was the first election where the smartphone was ubiquitous, where almost everyone had one. You got young people, Zoomers, talking about feminism, red pill, Andrew Tate. I don't know. Could it be everything is fake, that we are in a time when politics and tech have, like I just said, enjoyed a renaissance like never before? What do you think? I got Justin, though. Let's hear what Justin has to say, what he thinks. Fullerton, California. Appreciate your call. You're on the air. Justin, Fullerton. Oh, wait, hold on. Did I not pick you up? And we lost him. And we lost him, boys. Call me back. 888-775-3773. Maybe I hung up on him by accident. Pretty sure I did it. Oops. Firebrand conservatives. Valentina. Where's she running? She's in Missouri. Missouri's 41st Secretary of State. Soon to be, she says. Yeah, I think we can. I think we're good. Click, and we got to click. You think it's the same one, CSS element? Any question I should ask him to find out? In my chat, CSS element says, Justin Fullerton, I had a childhood friend with the same name. Wonder if it's him. What's a question only the Justin Fullerton from your childhood would know? That way we can find out. But don't dox yourself, I guess. Oh, man. What shall we do now in the last few minutes of the show? Should I show you 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎? I want to show you something quite undignified. And then I want to show you the people in tech trying to make things dignified. I mean, since we talked about the blacks today. Dalton Mayer. I think this was on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. Dalton Mayer, some shameless, so shameless it's funny, really. I heard someone say. Dalton Mayer goes off on a group of trustees after being questioned about her overspending. I'm the leader. Y'all forget I'm the leader. They want to hear from the mayor. You all ain't learned that yet. You all should be ashamed of yourselves because you are all black. And this mayor, Dalton Mayer, oh, man, is being accused of misusing money. Dalton Mayer. Mayor Tiffany Henyard. And Dalton is where? Where's Dalton? It's a village. They call it a village in Cook County, Illinois. Wikipedia calls it a village. It's not a city. It's not a town. It's a village. Dalton Village in Illinois, United States. Yes, America is still home to villages. Maybe that's a normal thing. But Tiffany Henyard, mayor of this village, is being accused of misusing money here. Y'all should be. The corruption is almost, it's comedic. You know, I heard someone say, it's just comedic how unashamed you could be in some cases.
Ashamed of y'allself. Y'all black. Y'all are black. And y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman that's in power. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves.
Dalton's difficulties got worse in recent weeks with water main breaks. Henyard blames on trustee budget cuts. Then 4 people were shot and injured last week, leaving nerves frayed and Henyard's opponents pointing out her sizable security detail.
It's unfortunate that politics are being played, but what has happened is $1 million out of my
based male black police chief
budget
right on
has been cut,
keeping it down
because of politics.
Y'all forget I am the leader. They want to hear from the mayor. If y'all ain't learned that yet. The mayor, not the trustees.
This is real. This is a mayor.
That don't do nothing. That only run their mouth. Y'all don't do no work.
Tiffany Henyard considers herself something of a crusader, but one who's clearly annoyed by questions from a rebellious group of Dalton trustees who are in a standoff with her over spending.
At the end of the day, vendors are not being paid. Board approved it. The vendors are not being paid.
How about you be a good
based men trying to keep it together, and I guess her too.
Leader, bring our peace to the forefront. So not just us, but the residents and everybody else in America know how the money is being spent.
WGN Investigates has cataloged tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars spent on trips, meals, and more by Tiffany Henyard and her allies in Dalton and on the Thornton Township Board, where she's the supervisor. Township credit card records show Henyard and other officials spent more than $67,000 on trips to Portland, Austin, Atlanta, and New York City. Many of the flights were first class. So were the accommodations. In Atlanta, Henyard and her team stayed at the Four Seasons Hotel, costing taxpayers more than $9,000. In New York, the bill came to $13,000. Henyard has refused to explain the specific purpose of the trips or why they travel in such style.
None of your business. That none of your business. That's my black politician. That is my black mayorally voice. That is my black female mayoral voice. That none of your business. Okay. I wanted to show you that because I had it here in my links here. We talked about the blacks a little bit. Shameless. It's almost funny. It's almost comedic if it wasn't so crazy. It's undignified. Not very dignified. As I segue into this to show you a movement of people trying to bring back dignity. There are some trying to bring back dignity, and they've employed the AI to do so. 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎, they're calling it. They're calling it 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎. You can be dignified, dignified. We are starting a movement, 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎. Now, what is dignify? What do they do? Where are they located? They're located at Dignity and Respect. They joined January 2020, and they've enjoyed a bit of a their account's going somewhat viral here. What is their purpose of 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒑? What is 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒑 using the AI and technology to do? They are making the world a more dignified place. As you can see here. Oh, look at this. I'm sorry. You're gonna see cheeks. You're gonna see cheeks, but in a moment you'll see the power of technology. I know the sun is still up. And you're gonna see cheeks. You're gonna see cheeked up people and cheeked up individuals right here in a moment. If you are triggered by cheeked up individuals, turn away now. But in a moment, you'll see the power of technology make the world dignified again. Incredible. Incredible. 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒑. Amazing. You can't wear that. Put something on. You're a harlot. Wear something else. Amazing. They got 6ix9ine at the beginning of this. Powerful use of technology here to make the world a little bit more Christian. Maybe in the future, Bukele-esque Donald J. Trump Christian dictatorship of America, we may be able to employ something like 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒑 for the greater good of man. Let's see some other examples here. Patrick Starr in this very famous moment with a dress now. This woman, yep, you can't wear that. Nope, you can't wear that anymore. This is a man. This is actually a male. This is a man. They call him Playboy Cardi. I believe that is a thong or something. I don't know what. This is going viral. But don't worry, 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒑 is on the job. Put those pants up, sir. I mean, this is a powerful use of technology. One of the Paul brothers. It's time to look like a dignified white man. Like those white men before you, huh? I know you had your fun as a youngin', looking all black sometimes, because black is cool. I get it. Everyone's a little black now. Hip-hop culture, they've been propped up. But you know what, Paul, brother? You know what? You had your fun. Time to grow up and look like a white man. Nice. 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒑. This is a black woman, actually. You might not know this, but this is a black woman. And she's been made dignified. Right on. 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒑. Miley Cyrus, Another, Taylor Swift, they call her an Aryan princess and all that. And I get it. She's beautiful. She should be protected. Her progeny should be protected. But everyone forgot about Miley Cyrus. They just threw her away. She deserves to be dignified as well. They just threw her. I get it. I get it. I get why men would want to throw her away. She's become quite nasty. Not really a catch or a gem. Not really a mother. Not really worth anything. But she too, her dignity can too be restored. Miley Cyrus, dignify. This is an awesome account. We got, what's this woman? Isn't this the guy's ex-wife? Destiny's old wife? Yeah, you can't wear that. Put on a dress. Elon Musk, dignified. This woman, yep, dignified. You gotta love it. You gotta love it, folks. Even this guy got dignified. I wouldn't touch Miley with a 10-foot pole. They even got this guy. Incredible stuff. Technology. See? Ted Kaczynski. Technology could be used for good. It's really all about us and our hearts. Okay? And that's pretty much it for me, folks. That's pretty much it for me, American Anchor Baby. Gross. Put a dress on it. I don't want to know who that is. Says everything is fake. I love my AI masters, says Space Cadet. If only, spoiler alert, we're here still to post the links. I don't know if you really want some of these links, Carver. Funny stuff. Funny stuff. But that's it from me. That's enough out of me. That's enough out of the network for one day, huh? Wow, I got people in my Twitch chat. I should have been checking it. What's up, Radulaser and Clovera? You guys rock. I'll be sure to check Twitch more often. Everybody supporting me with the lemons over there on D Live, and my supporters on Rumble as well. You guys rock. We got a flight tomorrow. Don't miss it. You want to hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. We're going to be taking off tomorrow at around 4. Not sure where we're flying quite yet, but we always have fun on Anchor Baby Airlines. So you don't want to miss it. Okay. Did you really need Ted's manifest? Not sure, Space Cadet. All right, y'all. Bye for real. Bye.